Again. We have welcomed you to the oral presentation of giants in nephrology. Together with my colleague here, Katerina, we will share that session together, one after the other. And I would like to ask at first Professor Solez McKim, Professor of Pathology in Atlanta University in Edmonton, at the end of the world. I don't know if you know where Edmonton is, approximately close to Vladivostok, but from the other side. My son-in-law is coming from there, so I know where it is, and I went twice there. So I welcome you. He's going to speak on the reframing of the nephrology video legacy project of 30 years ago that was now redone in with computerized, and show us a small part of it. Professor
Thank you very much. You may wonder how exciting something could be that's 30 years old, but we almost lost all these 50 videos that we did. They were inaccessible for a considerable period from approximately 2009 to 2018. And I had all these tapes in my garage, and I believed that the tapes were worthless, but I thought, well, in the outside chance there's still something there, I'll check it out. And every single tape from the 1990s onward was readable. So we uploaded them all to YouTube. And so in a sense, it's a very recent collection, even though the interviews that Stewart and I did and directed between 1990 and 2007 were, of course, done quite a long time ago. This has been added to, as many of you know, by the European Pioneers collection, which is still going on and probably involves some of you in this audience. So Klaus Brunn was one of the early interviews from '94, and we've been showing it here. It's quite interesting. The first kidney biopsy, and he shows how the biopsy was actually done and the background of it. And Donald Selden is our most popular interviewee with over 500 views. And this is what is called an audience retention graph, showing when people go back and re-watch sections. And every time somebody goes back and re-watches a portion, then you get one of those peaks. Now, when you think about indexing videos, you probably think you would just index it like you'd index anything else, giving the full content. And if you do that, people have no incentive to watch the video. So it guarantees that people are not going to watch the video. In 30 seconds, they can read the content of the video, and they go on to something else in their life. So what we have found is much better is to take these peaks, as mysterious as they are, and to simply recite what's going on at those points as a kind of indexing. And this is what that looks like for the Selden interview. And you can see this is not just the whole content. This gives you little glimpses into what things interested people within that content, and is just intriguing enough that you would want to actually watch the video, which is our intent. Now, in a few minutes from now, we're going to show you a portion of this video from 27 minutes to 36. So approximately in through here, where you see it's a mixture of like faculty recruitment and music. This is an alphabetical list of the interviews that Stewart and I had done during that 17-year period. And now we are planning a searchable database for the whole 170 to 200 videos. So you'll be able to endlessly search by name and country of origin and subject matter and so on. And that will be coming in 2020, the searchable database. Georgina Piccoli and Pierre Ronco, well known to many of you, they were in charge of the European Pioneers video series, which has now been merged with our series and is all on my YouTube channel, which has the very obscure designation user / Kim Solez. And if you go into that YouTube channel, you can see all 164 of the videos in the playlist there. Now, there's a way to think about kidney medicine origins here, and that is beginning with Richard Bright and going through 1960. You may conceive of it somewhere different, but I'll tell you that's the most useful way for us. So that gives you 31 names, and you can see of those 31 names, a good number of them have video legacy interviews. And Homer Smith's is the only one that is intended to be humorous. The others are serious in nature, and so you'll have lots of opportunity to hear them and watch them during this meeting and also forever afterwards. They're very easily accessed over the internet. Now, of those 31 names between Richard Bright and other people in 1960, Neil Bricker, you can sort of draw interesting parallels of the references cited. So this is Bricker's intact nephron hypothesis paper, and the founders who are in that paper, and we intend to do a network analysis like that of all 31 people. And Antigone Oreopoulos is sort of into this kind of thing, and she will be helping us with that. You'll see her in an interview later on. Now, what's the value of this? Why would you want to do this? Why would you care about the history? Well, the past is worthy of study because it has deeply influenced the running present and the future. And I think that symmetry with the future is actually quite important. And we've seen other timelines here during this meeting. Not so surprisingly, many people have an interest in timelines. But you might not have thought about what a symmetrical timeline would look like. So if you start with Richard Bright's book in 1827 and go to the present year 2019, that's 192 years. You then go ahead 192 years. That would be the other half of the symmetrical timeline. And what do you think might occur then in 2211? Well, in predicting the future, there's one gigantic miscalculation, and that is all of you can conceive of the next 20 years, so like until 2039, and the things you think will happen during that period, and not a single one of you thinks that you will upload your consciousness to an inorganic substrate within that period of time. But Ray Kurzweil, the most famous futurist, has postulated that by 2039 that it will be successful and common and widespread to upload your consciousness to an inorganic, like ceramic slab. You can tell, just sitting there, that is not going to happen. So I'm postulating that it may be common and successful by 2211, and this will astound you. There is a short poem about this. Mind uploading Scolding, a small disagreement of 172 years in arrears. Ray Kurzweil says we will be uploading mind successfully in 2039. The tech may exist, but our psyches will be nowhere near ready at that time. It will be 2211, another 172 years before it becomes routine. Does anyone really believe that within 20 years, uploads will be on the scene? I must admit I have a bias. I sort of like my humanness. I cannot believe we will so easily give up on our biology and trade our lives for some clunky clunk of machinery. You may have been impressed with those monoliths in the movie 2001, but that did not mean you were actually planning to be one. Ceramic slabs are shiny but limiting. I'll stick to my meat-based body for the time being. This, then, is the greatest failure of Kurzweil prophecy, and meanwhile, psychiatry will have a heyday as everyone dreads the day of upload, and future plans are anything but solid. So that, believe it or not, is the last slide of this presentation. And then after that, we will go on and listen to 13 minutes of Donald Selden. And then quickly after that, because you may have been intrigued by this Antigone Aureopolis, who is she? So